Hello guys, today we are going to be doing a different kind of race. Single race mode with cloudy, changeable weather, maybe 20 lap. Car will be the Jaguar XJ220. Track will be Kastl Bavaria, also a bonus track, and the difficulty will be expert. I wish I had some more information about this car to give you guys some backstory.
Hi Carlos.
What's that?
I can help you.
I think we'll stick with
Car
it.
details will be at the end of the video and put your setup too. Now let's race.
So let's race indeed. This track is called Kastl Bavaria, located in Germany. And it looks like it by the painting on the tire walls. For me, this track looks a bit more like a Le Mans type track, and it will make you remember the Le Mans races, which is also pretty fitting regarding the car that we are driving. As we can see, we are driving a bonus car from the Support Car Championship, the last one, and this was the fastest car from 92 to 93. This Jaguar car, as you can see, has a mid-mounted engine, and you also have a low-profile rear wing and the whole bodywork on the chassis, and also the rear side of the car has the diffuser. It was created as a concept car for the Le Mans races. And as we can see here, the car drives very different. We are going pretty fast and we have a lot of grip and downforce on the car, also a lot of power and acceleration, but the car also feels heavier to drive. Here we can see that the AI is a bit clamped up together, so I'm not trying to overtake them too much. I'm experimenting with the views of the camera for this car and looking a bit around. The track looks very nice because it looks like a bit of a road track. We have some road signs and this looks like a roundabout. At the same time we have lots of details that makes the track more interesting, at least compared to the regular tracks that we always drive already. So here we have a very heavy braking zone and we have a little bit of a very light bumper contact there. We didn't get any damage onto his back diffuser, and we also probably didn't get any damage on our splitter. In this countryside part of the track we are very fast, way faster than the AI. I'm thinking that might be because of the extra downforce on the setup and also the gear ratios that we've changed on the setup. The setup will be available at the end of the video, so you can check that out later. Here we finally hit some guy by mistake because he was taking our line. Whoa, and this was another pretty big mistake. So we damaged the other car and we also have our front of the car probably damaged as well. We will be able to check that out later on the replay. So my lap times here were not as consistent as in some other different attempt, because here I was driving a bit more around the AI and having a bit of fun with it. If you try to skip all the other cars from the AI, and here the driver is showing off his fist, someone was hitting us on the back, I think, trying to spin us off the track. These AIs can be very dangerous, so we have to be very careful and even sometimes kinda slow driving around them, because this AI will try to have some contact with you and sometimes try to be very aggressive with their racing lines and push you off the track. And while that can be done a bit more easily with touring cars, and touring cars will survive a bit more physical contact and a bit of damage and still manage to do a race, these kind of cars, as you guys can see, are not made for this aggressive driving. And one of the AI just spun out of the track there with that aggressive behavior. I think the one that spun was trying to hit the red car, and the red car itself, that guy was also launching himself pretty hard into that corner. If I was in that corner and that guy hit me, I would have had my car damaged into the tire wall, and I would probably have really heavy damage on the engine, it will be like it was race over for me. So we have to be careful. These guys are very aggressive and they can wreck your car pretty easily. Here I outbraked myself and I went pretty wide on the roundabout. As you guys can see, the car is heavy. Whoa, this guy hit us on the back. And we almost went into the tire wall there. As you guys can see here, now we hit him back by mistake. It's pretty hard to brake for this car on the heavy braking zones because the car is just so heavy, and that was one of the things that the critics said originally about the car, at least the production car model. I believe the racing car version was a bit more lightweight, and they of course had to change the whole interior and the body chassis with carbon fiber. Whoa. So here I didn't expect him to go so slow, and I didn't expect to be so fast. And we ended up hitting the guy in first place, and now we had a huge shunt. We are going to be sent into the back of the grid again. We had our little visit to the Shadow Realm. Now we have to get back into pace, but without going into the infields again. Let's see. That can be a bit more difficult. Now we don't have the cars so clamped up, they have a bit more room, but somehow the longer the race goes, the more spread out they are, so eventually some of the guys will start pulling away a bit more, and they will become harder to catch if we lose too much time behind slower cars, so always have to be mindful of that. Here the speed, as you guys can see, it's insane. Of course we have a lot more speed than the touring cars, and it makes sense that we have to brake way earlier, and that it will be really hard to compare this to a touring car, because we also have... Whoa, I think... I'm not sure if a car hit us, but the car was driving a bit weird there. I'm not sure, I was trying to check the rear view mirror. As you guys can see, the tires always screech a bit there, because the tires really want to lock up. If you brake with maximum force, the tires will sometimes want to lock up, and especially when you want to turn a little bit the car as well. So you actually have to be doing trail braking techniques to be able to do quick corners and brake without spinning. Now we have some rain starting. Good thing we chose the intermediate tires, so we can actually drive in a sort of compromise situation where it's raining but we don't lose all the grip. If we had the slick tires, we would have been way quicker in the time that the track was dry, but now that the track is wet, it would have been pretty hard. My lap times were not as consistent, but we were able to make, by the end of the race, a very fast fastest lap. I think that my most consistent laps were between 1 minute 1 second, 1 minute 2 seconds. Those were my usual best laps. As you guys can see, that part where the track is very bumpy, in the countryside part of the track, it's pretty easy to lose grip. I didn't notice I was doing anything too different. Maybe I was pushing it a little bit harder and maybe going a bit more throttle happy. Maybe the line was a bit too much on the inside, and the inside part of that corner doesn't have as much grip. Probably because you have a bit more banking and bump textures, I don't know. As you guys can see, even in that's a bit of a wide 4th gear corner, but the tires still screech, and the car still wants to go to the infield in that very sharp corner. One of the things that will bother you, or me at least, one of the most dangerous things for us there is that in that very sharp corner we also have a wall. Here we also have the farms there. It's pretty easy to hit those farms. And the second place guy, he tried to hit us on the back again. Now we are getting some fastest laps then. I'm not sure if we will start to pull away and then the race starts to look a little bit like a hot lapping session. If it comes to that, I will speed up the footage, make it sort of a time lapse or something like that, so we can jump back to the highlights and to the action. As you guys can see, the guy in first place, he must be very far away, because we can almost... it's pretty hard to catch him now. Maybe he's not driving so fast anymore, but that car probably doesn't have any damage and was not involved in any accident or any contact. Oh, he also has some damage on the back. I think that's the price of being in the front. If you want to go in the front, the back of your car will get damaged. One of his rear lights is damaged pretty hard. I think this is quite interesting. Whoops. So, as you guys can see, the car also has a bit of understeer sometimes. Well, we have to be careful because the car is very heavy, and if you get into a big shunt in this track and you start to spin, sometimes you'll spend a lot of time spinning. Like, the car will be spinning a lot. And this guy ended up hitting us pretty hard. I was trying to be safe, overtaking him. He even left a piece of his car there. At least that is not on the track, it's on the side of the track. I'm checking the car for damage. At least we have more damage on the front, but the other sides seem to be less damaged. But that was a bit crazy. At least we don't have like a pace car in the yellow flags, and people don't have to come there to clean that up. And those pieces of the car that were left there, at least they were not on the track, they were on the side. So here again, a pretty difficult corner, and you guys can hear the wheels locking and the tires screeching around, and we still go a bit for the infield. Our best time is already 1 minute. I think I was trying to push for quick times sometimes and ended up having... That was a bit unexpected, but I was able to hold it off. As you guys can see, this car, it's just a completely different beast from everything else that we have.
No, you are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
It's pretty easy to recover the car in some situations, depending on the balance and the weight transfers, and in some other situations it can be pretty difficult. And now we are following the guy in first place again. It looks like we are only racing each other and everyone else are racing between themselves. A bit of a weird situation. As you guys saw, his car is very damaged, and even I think that his rear wing is damaged as well. At least the rear of the car is all damaged, all weird, and the front of the car is also damaged. We can see some parts of the inside of the car there. That was why I was going a bit slow, just to take a notice. I think now this becomes a little bit of a hot lapping session, and it will be just zooming away as fast as possible and trying to get the best lap time. Whoa.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
We had a bit of a shunt there as well, but at least we didn't spin as hard and the engine didn't stop. One of the things that I found pretty interesting when I was a kid, but it also made the game pretty difficult for younger people, for beginners, is that you get some engine stalling when you get off the track and you lose all the speed. And so when we have to join back the track and we are in first gear, it becomes very cumbersome that we have to start. It feels like starting all over again very slowly. It's not that hard to catch up to the guys if you can drive up to pace, or at least not very badly, but it's something very interesting. Like when I was young, you are a kid, like you get off the track and you have an accident, but you want to get back into it as quick as possible and you want to overtake everyone in the next lap as quick as possible. And here it's not how that works, and I find that more interesting. It was more realistic. I think it was more realistic at the time, and not many other games were like this at the time this was created. As you can see on the top of the screen, I ended up putting some real-life racing footage of this car because the game engine, we have some limitation on the replays, and we can only have 15-minute replays, so we cannot have replays that are longer than 15 minutes because the game won't save past the 15 minutes. I believe that's the reason why you also have the feature races on the Expert Difficulty Championship being a bit shorter than 20 laps, because all those races are to be done. If you win the race, you will be doing the race in under 15 minutes. Even if your pace is slower, at least the first car will be doing that race in under 15 minutes, so we don't get the replays cut. But if a race lasts longer than that, after that we won't have any more footage. It's the only little thing that's a shame, but maybe the software and the hardware had some limitations back then. We also have to remember this was also playable on the PlayStation 1, and so the PlayStation 1 had some pretty special limitations as well. Now that part was very quick, and as you guys can see, on the outside of that corner we have a lot more grip. I think now I'm trying to go for my fastest laps. We overshoot the corner a little bit there, went wide, maybe lost some time. Here we are getting close to the end, so just zooming away from the race. And we messed up this lap. We had a nice split there. Now we might be behind. We ended up saving from the spin there. Yeah, so this lap was a bit of a cursed lap with lots of shunt. Here I wanted to try my fastest lap. Whoa. This lap also ended up and I don't know how, but I was able to get a faster split this time, even though that corner back there was a bit wide. I think I went a bit wide on the roundabout, carried too much speed into it. Whoa. This is a pretty nice split time. And we were able to get the best time, the fastest lap of 59 seconds and 44 cents. and we ended up messing up. So this is the last lap. This corner, the roundabout is usually in second gear for me. Here it's in fourth gear, but it's a bit crazy because you have to try to make the widest line possible going in, hit the apex. That other corner can be done in third gear or second gear depending on how hard you brake, and sometimes lowering the gears too much will also make your tires lock up. That is one of the things that makes driving this car very different from the touring cars, is that you don't want to engine brake as much. And here we won the race. As expected, not very difficult to do. Here are the positions and the times. As always, thank you for watching, guys. Please leave your comments, likes and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this kind of content. Have a great day. Thank you. Guys, maybe I won't make the suspension too hard, just a little bit. Let's see comfortable times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. I think I'm going to max out the downforce and go for intermediate tires.